It's probably sitting in your medicine cabinet right now. Aspirin. But the story behind this simple little pill? It's anything but ordinary. It's a journey that starts with ancient trees and ends with some seriously life-saving modern science. So let's dive in and unpack the incredible history of aspirin. So that's the big question we're tackling here. How did a bitter piece of bark, something people chewed on for centuries, evolve into one of the most important drugs ever discovered? We're going to see how it works its magic, and yeah, its mischief, inside our bodies.
All right, so our story starts thousands of years ago. We're talking long before pharmacies, long before laboratories. People were already turning to nature's medicine cabinet to deal with things like pain and fever.
What's wild here is just how long this took. For literally centuries, willow bark was the go-to. It wasn't until 1828 that a scientist, Johann Buchner, finally managed to isolate the active ingredient called salicin. But as it turns out, that created a whole new problem, which eventually led to Felix Hoffmann's big breakthrough in 1897, and just 2 years later, the birth of the brand name aspirin. And here was the huge catch. They had found the magic bullet for pain, but it was just too powerful. Taking pure salicylic acid was incredibly rough on the stomach. I mean, so harsh that it really limited how useful it could be. They had to find a way to tame the beast without getting rid of its power. And this is where a chemist named Felix Hoffmann enters the picture. He was working at Bayer, and actually he was partly motivated because his own father had terrible arthritis. He made this one small chemical tweak that would completely change the game for medicine forever.
This really lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the problem, that original harsh salicylic acid, and on the right, you have Hoffmann's brilliant creation, acetylsalicylic acid. It was just as good at fighting pain, but way, way gentler on the stomach. So the question is, how on earth did he pull that off?
The secret was a clever process called acetylation. By adding this tiny molecular shield, an acetyl group, Hoffmann basically created what we call a prodrug. Think of it like a drug wearing a disguise. It could sneak right past the sensitive stomach lining without causing trouble. Then, only after it was safely absorbed into the bloodstream would the body's enzymes remove that disguise, releasing the medicine right where it was needed. So clever. Okay, so now we know how it gets into our system without wreaking havoc. But what does it actually do once it's there? How does this one little pill manage to stop pain, bring down a fever, and fight inflammation all at the same time? Well, the answer lies in blocking a very specific set of molecular messengers. So here's how it works. When you get hurt or sick, these enzymes in your body called COX enzymes start pumping out little messengers called prostaglandins. These are the alarm bells. They're the things that tell your brain you're in pain, that cause swelling and that crank up your body's thermostat to give you a fever. What aspirin does is it comes in and just completely and permanently shuts down those COX enzymes. The alarm bells never even get a chance to ring. And that one simple action, blocking prostaglandins, is what gives aspirin its 3 classic superpowers. It's an analgesic, which means it relieves pain. It's an antipyretic, so it reduces fever. And it's an anti-inflammatory, so it fights swelling. But believe it or not, aspirin has one more trick up its sleeve, and it's probably the most important one in all of modern medicine. This right here. This is what makes aspirin a total game changer. What sets it apart from almost every other pain reliever you can buy. It's this unique, incredible ability to prevent blood clots. So how does it do that? Well, inside your blood platelets, a specific enzyme called COX-1 makes a substance called thromboxane A2. You can think of this stuff as being like glue for your platelets. It makes them all sticky so they can clump together and form clots. Aspirin works by permanently disabling the enzyme that makes the glue. No glue, no sticky platelets, and you prevent dangerous clots from forming in your arteries. And what is just mind-blowing is how long this lasts. Because platelets can't just make new enzymes, a single dose of aspirin affects them for their entire lifespan. And how long is that? About 7 to 10 days. That is a massive, long-lasting impact from one tiny pill. So that brings us to today, where aspirin's incredible power has to be managed really, really carefully. I mean, its benefits are profound, but the risks are just as real. It is truly a double-edged sword. And this table shows you exactly how we walk that tightrope. With aspirin, the dose is everything. A tiny, low, baby aspirin dose is all you need for that powerful anti-clotting effect to prevent heart attacks and strokes. Regular doses are for your everyday pain and fever. And those really high doses, those are only used under a doctor's watch to fight serious inflammation. But here's the flip side.
That same mechanism that helps can also harm. Blocking the enzymes that protect your stomach can lead to ulcers and bleeding. The anti-clotting effect, great for arteries, also increases the risk of other bleeds. And, this is critical, it's linked to Ray's syndrome, a really severe condition in kids, which is exactly why we don't give aspirin to children for fevers anymore.
But even with all those risks, you just can't deny its legacy. This quote really says it all. It is a true marvel of medicine. It has saved countless lives, especially with its heart benefits, and that has absolutely cemented its place in history. So, from a simple piece of ancient bark to a complex modern lifesaver, the story of aspirin is clearly still being written. With research now looking into its potential role in other diseases, you just have to wonder, after thousands of years, what secrets does this simple pill still hold for us?